guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Classy Coins. Before we get started, make sure that you are already subscribed and stay tuned until the end of the videos. So today I wanted to do a video on creating a simple budget and tips on creating a budget. So we put the exclamation mark because we're excited, but listen. So number one, to me, the first important thing is figure out income. So number one is find out your income. So are you getting paid on a weekly, bi-weekly, excuse the B, it's a little ugly, or even monthly pay? So then once you figure out how you're getting paid, you'll be able to divvy out all of the money to your bills and go accordingly, right? So number one is income. And then once you figure out your income, how you're going to get paid, the next step to me, like I said, this is just to keep it real simple, not too complex. When you're first starting out budgeting, you don't want to like dive into doing too many steps. If it gets too overcomplicated, then you won't want to do it, and you could feel discouraged because y'all took me a while to be like, okay, how do I want to do this? And this is how I keep it so simple. And I feel like the more income that you have, the more that you might be able to break it down into more pieces, into different categories. But this is for people who are like, look, just give it to me straight, give it to me easy. The next step you want to do is list out your expenses. So you definitely want to make sure like all of your expenses of the month until the end. Watch my previous videos, then we get paid on a bi-weekly, and so I always make sure to list out. For me, if this is for people who get paid bi-weekly, so to me this is just an example. For us, we get paid like twice a month, so I always list my bills that go out the 1st through the 14th. I don't include the 15th just because this is what works better for our budget. The 15th does include like our car insurance and our business expense, as well as our car note. So if I try to take all of that, including rent, on this check, we would have nothing left over. So you do have to do what works for you, but I'm just giving you, these are our dates, right? And so for example, if you get paid on a weekly basis, what are your expenses on the 1st through the 7th? If you get paid on a monthly, you really have to budget, like really be, I think teachers get paid monthly, so you really have to budget accordingly if you're on a monthly basis versus like, okay, we have some room because we're about to get paid again. So yes, we do ours on the 1st to the 15th. So these are our bills. You list out your bills and your fixed expenses. So these are these are non-negotiable. These are the things you need to survive. So I can give you examples. So you need to pay your rent, and we put our rent and utilities together as of right now. It just makes things easier. Water, these are just examples. We could live without a phone, but you know, not really. So like your phone bill, you want to, I'm gonna just put fixed expenses so you guys can see. Insurance, so car insurance, you do need that, you know, depending on where you're located. Your car note. So these are just a couple of examples of fixed expenses that you know need to be paid, and that has to come out of your check first. Now some people do it differently. Some people do, let me straighten it out, some people do decide to like pay themselves first, but we do that last. Examples of these variable expenses, things that often can change. I try to keep them the same, but you never know depending on your situation. So I'll give you an example. Food is one example. Gas is another example. If you do have room in your budget, then a buffer for a just in case moment of like, what do we do? This happened, but at least we have this buffer to cover because life happens, right? So another thing, after you did your fixed expenses, you want to list your variable expenses. These are just examples. The list can go on because everybody's varies, obviously. And then for me, this is an optional category, but these are to list. Let's just act like I wrote list right there. list your sinking funds. Do sinking funds slash envelopes, just because for me that kind of goes together. But if you haven't watched, then some examples that I use are car maintenance. This is kind of, to me, the simplest way to put this category is putting money away for future expenses that you guys can take, that you can take out of later. And these are some of the categories that we use, that I try to put things away, which is, so sinking funds, completely different from savings, but we'll get to that soon. So car maintenance, gifts, and dates. My favorite is car maintenance, because once that oil change, y'all know how tags come around and oil changes come around, and you're like, man, now I gotta account for another $80 or $90 to come out for that oil change, when you could just have this already saved up. Even if it's just $20, it could just, I'm just giving examples, it could just be $20 every check. And depending on like whenever you get your oil change, you can have at least 40 to 80 within even just 2 months, because you have that saved up and you're not dipping from your income when this does come around. Gifts, y'all know, for different holidays as well as birthdays, you know, you just kind of already have it. To me, this is a category that comes if you absolutely have money to spare. Don't worry about how many categories. You literally can just do car maintenance, or you literally can just do gifts. And even if it's $10 here, $10 there, it adds up. So when your best friend's birthday comes up in 3 months and you've been putting away $10 for 3 months, I think that would be per check. Say you get paid bi-weekly and you put it, that's $60 that you can be like, here's a birthday gift that she would love or he would love. You never know. So just saving it over time, to me, is the purpose of this category. Now, moving on to the next category, which I find is definitely necessary, is the debt category. This, to me, is the most important category. So examples of debt would be, you know, consumerism, so credit cards, or in our case, student loans, credit cards, car loans, or even, I know there are people out there that are doing it big, working on paying off their mortgage in a very timely manner. So why did I put semicolons? I don't know, that was just fun. Credit card, student loans. So you definitely want to have a category for debt. To me, if I were to put this in chronological order, bills, it'd be variable expenses, debt, and then sinking funds. This is, if you're on the journey to be financially free, this category is very important. And then to me, the last and final category would be savings, or what people like to call emergency fund. So I'll just put EF for emergency fund. Now this, I wouldn't say that we should be so heavy on it. But I think that anything helps. So just putting our goal, for example, is, some people have, let's try to save up 3 months worth of bills, right? Or 6 months worth of bills. Whatever your goal is, make sure you're trying to contribute to it, because you just never know. And the last official category that's optional, to me, this comes when you've paid off your debt and you have more room. So we invest, but literally it's just Acorns. If y'all are familiar, then check out the Acorn app, and you can just invest literally $5 for the rest of your life. It'll be at least something. So this could, and if you're at a 9 to 5, this could include investing in a Roth IRA, a 401k, and just stocks. So to me, this is a category that we are looking forward to doing after we've at least tackled the credit card and our student loans, you know. So this is not something that I'm going to heavily invest into if I'm still owing someone. Even if you invest in a business, you know, you can multitask. I think it just depends on where you're at financially, and especially when you get to like a certain age. So for me, it's important to start investing early, especially if you're at a 9 to 5 and you can afford it. Just let them take out some money for the 401k. I've always been taught that. But as far as like these, which we weren't really taught in school, you can look into them, and if you can afford, little by little, everything adds up. Saying what space we're in right now, like we really, really do want to heavy invest, but I rather, like I said, tackle debt first. So to me, this is the main, just 6 simple categories. I do want to add is to track your expenses, because when you can figure out where the money is going and where it's like what category is hitting mostly, then you can pull back for whatever you need to or add into what you need to, because we didn't realize how much we were spending on subscriptions. When I first started budgeting, we were spending like $200 on subscriptions and didn't even know like where they were coming from or what we were paying for. And so we were like, what? Like we legit got our subscriptions down to around $45, 200. And then we started realizing like, whoa, we're spending thousands of dollars on food from eating out. And it's like, that's why we only have so much left over, because this is where the money is going towards food. So this is really important, and I can recommend the Every Dollar app. Everybody has something different that they like to use, but check out apps to track your expenses. I'm not really into writing them down just because we do swipe a lot, so I'm not gonna be writing all that down. That's just me, but it's all preference. So let's just go over this overview really quick. Number 1 to create a simple budget is know your income. Number 2, you need to list out your expenses. Number 3, list out your variable expenses. Number 4, figure out your sinking funds and your envelope categories. Number 5, figure out your debt. And figure out how much of the percentage too you want to put towards each of these categories. That might help make it easier for you. I'm not on a percentage right now. I just go based off of like calculating and numbers. I'm not really like, oh, 10% is going to go here, 20 going there. Like, I'm not at that point yet. But once we start doing like FIRE and retiring early, which we'll try to do in the next year or two, then I'll probably do more like, oh, this percentage will go to this category, if that makes sense. Then you want to see if you can have savings, y'all. It don't matter if it's $10 every check, $5 every check, just save something. And investing is important, because so you don't want your money just sitting there like forever. And to me, this also depends on your situation. Do you have a family? Like we have a family of 4, so this category might be more important to us than another category. If it's just you, then you tackling your debt or you having that extra for just in case moments, this category might be more important to you. So go based off of your budget, your lifestyle, what works for you. The last category I said is optional is investments, Roth IRA, 401k, stocks, businesses. And so to me, if you just take a look at these categories and you figure out what is going to help you be most effective and make sure you track your expenses, you can overcome whatever it is you're trying to overcome financially. You can get through whatever it is that you need. Now, this is to me for a 1 person trying to survive and or a 2 person or 3 or 4 or 5. It doesn't matter. Anybody can try to participate in budgeting and just do what works for them. So I really do hope that this video was helpful. If you did like it, make sure you thumbs up and like the video. Make sure you comment below which category out of these do you like the most. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.